Hey everybody, my name is Kalle Slaap, Watchmaker from the Netherlands, and I want to talk you through a few of the fine details in a Rolex Daytona. Maybe you've seen it before, maybe you haven't, but it is just nice to show why this is such an iconic watch. I think it's safe to refer to it as iconic. Of course, it's a chronograph and not a stopwatch. A stopwatch stops the movement, so you cannot tell the time. But a chronograph, the time is running always, and then you can engage and disengage the chronograph to measure an amount of time unit. With this, do it like this, more in focus. With this particular Daytona, you can unscrew the pushers before engage, disengage, and of course reset. There you go. Everything in watchmaking, I tell it all the time, contrast is what makes things beautiful, especially in watchmaking. If everything is shiny, the perfect black polish, if there isn't any contrast with a different way of finishing, it becomes dull and it looks cheap. And now we have, I'll show it under the microscope in a moment, the really high gloss dial. And then the beautiful finish around the subdials. That's what I really do love. I'll show it on the microscope. A bit more detail. There we go. Find a bit of focus. And there it is. Of course the watch is broken. That's why it's here. Runs like crap. But we get it as brand new. What I love the subdials here is the circular finishing. It's beautiful. And the real high gloss dial. And I want to show you a bit more about the inside of the watch because you don't see that too often and it is really nice. This is the movement with the 4130 movement with the high beat, but it's 28,800 beats per hour instead of the earlier versions with the really high beat 36,000 beats per hour. And 36 beats per hour is done intentionally because 36,000 beats per hour is 10 beats every second. So with a chronograph you could easily measure a tenth of a second. That's why the high beat. Here, of course, Daytona and the column wheel chronograph. And this is the automatic, of course. Column wheel chronograph is here. It's a three-dimensional and it can go like this. And I'll show you the three-dimensional bit. There. Do you see the columns there? So now this lever cannot go inside because it's stopped by that bit, and then the next, now it can go inside, and that's what I love about the column wheel chronograph. It's a bit more compact and it's safer to engage and disengage. So now this bit can go in between the columns and now it can't, so you cannot engage that lever. Again, contrast. This piece here is black polish and they really do mean that. Here, flawless black polish. Black polish means all the light is reflected, nothing comes back to the eye, so it's either white or black. All the light is reflected or all the light comes back to the human eye and it becomes white. That's what I love. For a watchmaker, this is a piece of art. The free sprung balance wheel, no timing pins, and the timing is done, well, this watch got a hacking function, so click, the hacking function is simply a balance stop. It's that shiny bit over there. It actually touches the balance wheel and then it stops, and that makes it easy to set your watch to a mother clock or synchronize watches, because when it hits a certain time then everybody can engage their watch and it's running on time and all the watches are running in time. Synchronizing watches. So here the blued balance spring with the Breguet overcoil, so it breathes more evenly, and that is better for accuracy in different positions. Cheers everybody. You probably know by now, this is a camera and you're watching with me through my microscope. So for a watchmaker, the free sprung balance wheel is really the bee's knees, and you are timing it with those weights there, there, and the two ones over there. It is a watch with, again, a modular build-up. So here is the module for the automatic winding, and what you see with earlier Rolex, here this is a huge weight and that will go downwards, and then it will wind your watch for accuracy, not because you don't have to wind it, because the spring is always fully wound with an automatic, so that's a constant force on the gear train, so an automatic watch runs more accurate than a hand wound watch. Well, because hand wound you do it early in the morning, the spring is fully loaded, and then during the day it gets less and less and less, and then there's no constant power on the gear train, on the escapement, so it is running less accurate. That is the real reason for automatic winding. Because this is such a weight, there is a lot of force here on the ball bearing, because it hangs on one side. That's why these grooves are there, gives it a bit more flexibility during a bang. Then the weight can got a bit of spring in it, and not all the force is here on the ball bearing. With earlier Rolexes, the design was always that the text, just like Rolex here, is visible through these grooves. And I think this is the first movement design that here it isn't fully in the grooves. Just slightly lower. Here Daytona, and you see there was a bit more flexibility in the rotor, because there it was touching the movement. Well, we already can see it is in need of some TLC. Really old lubrication, bit grainy. It does need a good overhaul, clean every single part. There. And there's no need for lubrication in there. And you can see it was worn by, I know the owner, and the owner really enjoys his watches and just wears them. And if anything go wrong, he said, Kalle, you will fix it. And we do. So, lovely finishing. The beautiful black polish on some parts. And even the finishing, remember when I said contrast is what makes things beautiful? Just look at the case back. Again, really worn, but here is straight graining in there. Just this small bit is highly polished. Maybe you can see the reflection. It is worn, so we do have to do polishing again. but straight graining, the lines, there it is, used to be highly polished, and here is circular graining. You see the grooves, the lines following the radius of the case back. So again, three different types of finishing, just the case back. Here the linear finishing, linear graining, highly polished, and circular graining. And here you can see the rotor touched the case back. That is that groove. So because it was touching, I am sure that they're just slightly visible. But again, beautiful watch, and it should be worn like that. Again here, the graining on glass, there the angling on the sides of the parts. Well, you don't see a Daytona in this detail every single day. Thought it was just lovely to show you a bit more detail of this iconic watch, and why even for a watchmaker there are some bits in there that is just really nice. All of you, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments, and if you like some more detail inside watches like these, please put a thumbs up, and yeah, hope to see you soon. See ya, bye bye.